Hey everybody, this is my first production breakdown video, and so this is our new single Isolation. And so I'm going to play kind of up to the first chorus and talk about it. So we start off with a guitar.
I can't find the remote.
The guitar's pretty straightforward. There's a pad going on, just a nice sort of embellished pad. It's called a embellished bliss pad.
I feel alone.
Drums with a brush snare and bass.
Why do
And then we have a piano that Drew recorded.
alone?
I really like this bell here. It's really cool. It has like a stereo level back there. Okay, that's the first chorus. So, a couple things to break down there. My vocals, a lot of people like to see what's on vocals, so let's just go there real quick. Can I find it? Where are you? There they are. Okay, so I put a saturation knob on there, which is like tape saturation. So I put a little bit on there for some color, whatever you want to call it, some warmth. My EQ is a low cut. I put it all the way up to 350 on this, or 300. And so this one I liked kind of that sound, I guess, and then I boosted it around 3K. And then I have two compressors. I usually put two if I'm going to compress so that you don't really hear that as much. And so it's just a 2-to-1. I did lower the threshold quite a bit on this one. I just kind of do it till it sounds good. And so I have a second compressor here, also only just 2-to-1, much higher threshold because I don't want to push it too much. And then that's it for the inserts. And then down here I put a couple different types of reverbs. I have a slap back, which is a reverb on Studio One. Sometimes it's a delay. And then I have a room reverb. And then I have an analog delay. And that was just on the default, sweetened vocal. And then I have a double. I usually put a double on everything. And sometimes the double I'll add like some different delays. Yeah, I think I have a couple different reverbs on here and a chorus. I have a chorus on the double. Okay, let's keep listening to the second part. A little more going on.
Coffee can't seem to wait.
Electric guitar. Those are panned pretty hard over here to the right and to the left. Nice, like, panned there. So, one of the reasons I send... It's worth talking about. One of the reasons I send reverbs is because you can pan your reverbs, right? And so if I pan an electric guitar to the left and to the right, I can actually pan the reverb the opposite direction. And that way you have a nice, full, like, rich sort of stereo exchange going on there. Okay? Trumpets are about to be introduced on the second chorus, and Annalise vocals. I think her vocals are pretty similarly done as mine, you know. Pretty cool trumpet. He actually did 3 trumpet layers there, so a bunch of muted trumpets with some harmonies. Let's see what I did on those. Same thing, I did some like saturation, EQ, and compressors, and a little bit more reverb. I just really like that sort of reverb. I like Tallest Man on Earth. He has a lot of really good trumpet reverbs. I think I panned Ellie's vocals a little bit to the right. This verse is pretty similar. One could say I probably should have added more on the third, but here we are. The song's already out. The bridge, though, has a lot going on, which is fun. chorus.
feel so cold.
Oh, there's a synth going on. Yep, and then cello. I got some nice third-party cellos that are really cool. And then this bellish kind of some fun orchestration. So here's the bridge coming up.
Isolation.
So Vernon added stick snare during this, so you got like a much harder snare there. And I went ahead and added like the full sort of all the mic. I just added some of the overheads and the room mic just to kind of fill it out. And then we didn't talk about the tambourine, but the tambourine adds energy. There's a tambourine there. Here it is coming in. I always like having a lot of reverb on the tambourine. Only other thing to note is that on those drums I have like I've got a drum bus, so I compress that as well, and then I put like a room reverb on the overall drum kit, and there's nothing really crazy about the drum mix or anything. I have various compressors and EQ on them, but I only put reverb on some of the like the snare and the toms. Now I will say I sidechain the kick drum and the bass guitar. Oh yeah, the bass guitar. Let's talk about Jared. So the bass was actually just the bass cab. I normally do DI and bass, but the DI wasn't routed, and so I recorded and didn't notice. But
why do I feel?
I'll quickly switch to the mastering window. So what I love about Studio One is that I can actually go into a mastering project very quickly. And so this is my isolation file. Wants me to update, but I'm not going to do that. And I can quickly, see how the master sounds and then go back to the song. And so let's just quickly go over that. I can make this about a 10-minute video, I guess. Okay, so let's go over what I've done with the mastering file. So it should be a lot fuller and louder.
I can't find the remote.
So I'll turn down a little bit. Yes.
I can't find the remote.
So quite a bit different fullness, right? And so what I did was I have an EQ, and I actually took out some of the 300 hertz, which is kind of where a lot of the mud exists. And I pulled down a little bit of the bass frequency, so whenever I boosted everything, the bass kind of got a little woofy and or there's a couple of frequencies there. And then I add a super light compressor, a 1.5 to 1, and then just light everything happening there. And then I add, again, serial compression so that I'm not hearing that compressor as much. So same thing, I kind of pulled it down from 2, it's 1.9, and so just very light activation. And then I now have this awesome ozone elements from, wait, well, I can't even remember what this, isotope, yes, there we go. So this is just like, I literally put it on the folk setting, the default, and it totes worked. And so I'm just going to leave it. It sounded great. And so it does a really good job. Some people have tried to use that. There's that website you can go to and like get it mastered by like a robot. And I find this to be pretty great. And so I kind of tweak it sometimes. So if I like the bass more or the high end, or if there's mud, I'll kind of tweak it. But for the most part, it does a great job. And yeah, so let's listen a little bit more.
Why do I feel alone?
Nice full sound. So I noticed a huge difference between the mix and the master with that stuff. So one last thing I'll note is that like we've got really nice meters in here, and so
Elation.
I've got my overall meter, I've got my EQ right here, and over here I've got my loudness information, and so Spotify doesn't want louder than -14, and so this one was -14.6, and I've got my true peak here, that kind of information. And so that's for like deep audio nerds if you're still watching at this point, which is almost 11 minutes. But, and then lastly, the final stage, I have two limiters. And so I use serial limiting so that I don't have too much like ducking and sort of harsh ducking happening. And so I have I've got a -1.6 limiter, and then a -1.3. So like the first one is ducking a little bit harder, and then the second one is not ducking as much, and so you get less of a harsh kind of pull down, right? And so, but the default settings over here are pretty much the same. And so yeah, that's kind of a mix and master, a quick version of mix and master of isolation. So probably took me lots of hours, but here we are.
Isolation.
Let me know if you've watched this far and you like it, and comment below, and I'll try to do one of these for all of them. I use OBS, and I have like the Studio One routed, so hopefully the audio will sound good for you. So all right, have a good one.